hearing the list of players and hearing what it would take and just trying to get my head around what it's going to do to the team. If we're trading a major piece with that, which we're not. But
the thing that drives me nuts is the Celtics this year, when they finally tossed the keys to Marcus Smart, were rewarded with the top point guard play in the NBA. He ranked in the 99th percentile among all point guards with a plus 14.8 net rating when he was on the court. No one was really even close to him. They had the best starting five in the NBA for the entirety of the season and by a landslide. And I'm left to wonder, what the hell are you people looking for out of the fourth best player on your team besides the defensive player of the year, someone who can run the offense and makes you better, who is a leader in that locker room and a trusted voice. And it baffles me that we continue to just default to, well, they got to trade Marcus Smart. They need to find someone better. Yeah, good luck. I'm telling you, go ahead and trade him. See how it works out for you.
You too. How's everyone doing? Jags to Riches, James Peters. Thank you all so much for your time. Off-season update, guys. Just want to basically follow up. For those of you who don't know, I did a video with Bobby yesterday on Celtics Corner, and essentially what we're going to be doing throughout the off-season is just kind of like a weekly update video. Now, obviously, when anything big drops, we'll do a immediate reaction. But in the meantime, we at least want to stay consistent. Even if there's nothing going on, we'll at least do, trust the podcast or just do whatever rumors are going on. However, NBA draft just hours away, free agency the following week. So a lot is going on right now at this point. There will be some quiet days, during the actual summer, even though, you got summer league coming up, but you'll have some time where it's just rumors. But right now it's kind of hot. There's a lot going on. And in fact, there's already been a bunch of big trades, like not even hours after we were talking, because essentially yesterday's video was us talking a lot about like Bradley Beal, all those rumors, and then just some other players that a lot of people have shown some interest in: Malcolm Brogdon, John Collins, Jeremy Grant. And then not hours after that video drops, Jeremy Grant gets traded to the Portland Trail Blazers, which for a future first or pick, something along those lines. When I first looked at it, it kind of made me say, okay, from Detroit's standpoint, they're going in a different direction. Jeremy Grant's making 20 plus million, I think. He's coming up on the final year of his contract, 28 years old, something along those lines. But I think just wanting to have the additional salary cap and then obviously having that future first, is kind of what they're looking for. Now with Portland, I originally was like, what the hell are they doing? They trade CJ, and then so for me, I think that this will make a lot more sense when the next move happens. For me, it looks like that this is just the first of an additional move. So the rumor I'm hearing is that they're going to be targeting OG Anunoby, who I know Toronto is shopping, or I know that on the internet, Google says that Toronto is actually shopping OG. And I believe Portland has the number 7th pick, something along those lines. So if that happens, that makes a lot more sense, because now all of a sudden you got Dame Lillard, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Jeremy Grant, and then if they get Yusuf Nurkic to re-sign, so now all of a sudden that makes a lot more sense. Unfortunately for the Celtics, that is a player, especially when you look the price that they pay. Obviously Portland has, the cap, whereas Boston doesn't. I mean, we don't even, all we have is pretty much, taxpayer mid-levels and things like that, and obviously our TPEs, but we don't have the money to make a big splash, even though they did get the bonus from last year, that 13 million, which I think is what's prompted Wick to give Mr. Stevens, Brad, the green light to be more aggressive this offseason. And as I mentioned yesterday in the video, I said people forget we have that $17 million TPE from Fournier that has an expiration date on it, which is like 3 weeks from now. So, I mean, you've got only a couple more weeks. It's July 18th is when that expires. So look for the Celtics to potentially make a move as early as tonight. I expect there to be a lot of players, switching teams tonight, a lot of draft trades, as, Woj announced. And for some reason, I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics got in on that. Now, what I really want to talk about is simply the direction of this team, in my humble opinion. And the reason that is because we can talk about all the hypothetical players all damn day, Bradley Beal and how great that would be. But a lot of these people are not even realistic. These are max players. John Collins, Brogdon, those are $20+ million, $25 million players. All those guys would be awesome to have, but those are guys we would have to pay a significant price. And I just don't think those teams, I mean, a lot of people will say like, well, what about Al Horford, for example? Or a lot of people don't even want to give up anything and expect to be able to get those type of players back. But then again, as you could see with Portland and Detroit, sometimes it's just the right circumstance. However, the two big things I want to discuss, instead of talking about, other players on different teams, I want to talk about the two big questions surrounding this team when it comes to our direction moving forward for this upcoming season and maybe even the, next offseason. And essentially the big question I am seeing is, do the Boston Celtics need a new point guard, playmaker point guard, basically an upgrade from Marcus Smart? And two is, should they move on from Al Horford, it's a partially guaranteed contract this year, but still it's one of the heftiest on the team. I think it's 20 million is somewhere in that ballpark, but then can go up to, I think, the 27, depending on results and, the overall success of the season. But the first rebuttal I would have is kind of just people. We have to remember, this was a team that just went on an NBA Finals run and was 2 games away from a championship. Marcus Smart has been one of those guys, let's be clear, that has always been, he's always been like, as Bobby would say, put his ass in an Uber and ship him out of town myself. Even when the guy has now led this is a team that made it to the finals, to a game 6, and he was the starting point guard, but for some reason we don't think that he can be the starting point guard, or there needs to be an upgrade. Listen, though Marcus Smart did not have a good finals, even though, like I said, the numbers 15, 5-5, 38.5%, from the 3, they don't tell it the entire story. A lot of his heat is, like I said, it's on the turnovers and the fact that people feel, and let's be honest, that we need someone that is better, has a better ability of getting our stars and superstars involved, able to make a play for them instead of having to pass to Jay or, Brown or Tatum and them having to ISO it. A lot of people feel like Marcus Smart, and especially in the half-court offense, and let's be clear, when I say a lot of people, I see in it too, especially in that Golden State series. It was, especially at late, there was a lot of, I forget at one point, where we had those 5 straight threes, and it was just missed threes, and it's just ISO ball, and these are close games where either team could have won, and then all of a sudden, so I completely get it. But here is my question to everyone, and it's the same thing I asked yesterday with Bobby. It's, first, are people wanting to move Marcus Smart to the 2 and bring in a playmaking 1, or are we saying trade out Marcus to bring in an upgraded 1? And to address both of those, first, when you talk about moving him to 2, we've already seen that, have we not? People, we got to remember, Kemba, Kyrie, Isaiah Thomas. So this franchise has had some badass, scoring-based point guards in the past, Now, obviously, Smart only really played the side-by-side 2 with Kemba, but still, Kemba, right? Come on. I don't think, it's just, I thought my man Wayne Spooney, shout out to Spoon and Celtics Reddit podcast, I thought he said it best, and I mentioned it yesterday. It's kind of like, who is this mythical point guard that is going to come in and is, 1, going to be a better playmaker, 2, it's obviously you need someone that can shoot, 3, and is not going to, shit the bed on the defensive end, because that is our identity. And if you take out the defensive player of the year, come on, guys. Are there certain players out there? First, I am not a fan of the moving Smart to the 2 and bringing in a 1. I feel like we have seen that. I feel like Marcus, his job is not to sit in a damn corner and shoot threes. That is not his game, right? So if you want to upgrade a point guard, in my opinion, you have to trade him. And if you're trading him, he's making $18 million. And of course, his value is going to be as high as it's been, defensive player of the year, finals run. But there is only a certain select few I would even entertain the fact of, trading a Marcus Smart for. And people will throw out like the Dame Lillards and all those guys aren't realistic. All right. Like some of the people I'm talking about, it's like DeJounte Murray, right? That's okay. SGA, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Okay. Like those are conversations I would be more willing to have, especially let's go with DeJounte Murray. All-star, what do you average? 28 and 8 this year. Oh, by the way, he's another all defensive level backcourt guy, just like Marcus Smart. Played with Derek White, as well as he's from the Popovich, Ime Udoka, and we have a relationship with them. And he makes the exact same amount of money as Marcus Smart. So if the conversation was, because I've already seen he's in trade rumors for like John Collins, DeJounte Murray is something I was seeing. But if you could get Marcus Smart, they'd probably want some young as well, and then some first and bring back DeJounte Murray. Yeah, of course, I'm all for it. My point is, guys, it's like there's only a very small few. And are these guys even available? So hear me out. If you're trying to upgrade it to be the playmaking route, why not just go and bring in somebody to beef up the backcourt in our depth off the bench, right? I mean, you don't need to blow up a team that was in the NBA Finals. You just need to make some tweaks here and there. And to me, 3-point shooting, playmaking are definitely needs, but bench depth is the biggest of all. If this offseason, if they can bring in a backup point guard and a wing, I mean, that's it. We keep throwing out Pat Connaughton because that's a home run. Wing, 3-point shooting, depth, a vet, a champ. I mean, that a hometown boy, that would be huge. And then if they could bring in like a Patty Mills, we keep saying Bryn Forbes, guys like that. I know Bobby mentioned Corey Joseph. I actually like Markelle Fultz because he fits into the TPE. All of those guys, right? An additional playmaker to beef up the secondary, and it's not going to cost us any of our core players, right? I mean, again, Patty Mills, he's on a player option, same as Pat Con. They would have to actually opt out. I don't think Patty has yet, but I think if you can bring in those type of guys, it's as simple as you run it back. The majority of this team is locked up. They're on the same timeline as age, and they just went on an NBA Finals run. All you pretty much do is they have their 7, right? The starting 5, and then Grant and Derek. If you, again, can bring in a Pat Connaughton and Patty Mills, let's just say that's 8 and 9. That's a 9-man rotation. Oh, by the way, every single one of those guys is championship experience. 2 of them have now won it. And those are guys you can rely on. Even Bryn Forbes, those are 40+% career 3-point shooters, something we desperately need, right? So to me, I don't think he trades smart. I don't think that there's this glaring upgrade that is needed when it comes to, I just don't think that player exists, right? I think that we need to be a little bit more realistic and understand that we have a point guard that just was the starter on a finals run, right? I mean, and there's not too many guys that I think we could get that would truly be an upgrade, right? That is a playmaking upgrade. He averaged 6 assists, but is also a guy that it can play defense like him. And it's just, there's not too many. A guy I would be intrigued with also is like a Ricky Rubio. And that's why I'm more with, I'd like to call up Indiana, talk to them about Brogdon and Turner and really about Rubio. He's someone I think you could probably get for cheap just because he's coming off of an injury. He averaged 13 and 8 or whatever it was. I mean, one of the best playmakers. Get his ass in here, put him on the second unit. And do you see what I mean? Little tweaks like that. No, don't blow it up. Don't trade smart. I mean, it's blasphemy at this point if you mention trading the Jays. But then the other big one is this Al Horford narrative about trading Al Horford because of obviously his contract and what that can get back. I mean, I thought based off of his performance last year that this was dead. Like that it was like he was going to come run it back or, negotiate a little bit longer contract is what I'm hearing. I pretty much figured he'd run it back this year. We would be so close to winning a championship or win a championship that if we didn't win, he would come back on a vet minimum for an additional year. And that is when I feel like this is just next offseason. that is to me when you make the aggressive moves, because you're already going to have 20 plus additional million of his money coming off the books. And that is the same offseason where all of the Jeremy Grants, Christian Wood, both of the Bogdanoviches, Nikola Vucevic, the Joker, all of those guys are actually going to be available. There's so many. Harrison Barnes. I mean, a lot of guys that we have targeted and talked about will actually be available. And guess who has the money to, swoop one of those guys up? Imagine if Jeremy Grant or, Harrison Barnes or one of the Christian Wood, any of those guys is like, hell, I appreciate getting traded. Didn't work out. I actually want to go play in Boston. And we pick up one of those guys and bring Al Horford back on a 1-year vet minimum. Oh, and the previous offseason, this one we got like Pat Connaughton and Patty Mills. I mean, do you kind of see that is the vision I have. I also think this could get very interesting when it comes to the TPE and whatever player they potentially bring in. And we will know that here very soon. I wouldn't be surprised if there's something tonight during the draft that involves the Celtics making a pretty interesting move. And if there is, we'll talk about it. But again, thank you all so much for your time. NBA draft tonight, free agency next week. If you haven't gotten a chance, go check out my offseason preview video. Go check out me and Bobby's video yesterday on Celtics Corner, kind of, touching on a lot of similar subjects I went into today, but we went into a lot more on like the Bradley Beals of the world, things along those lines. But again, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. I miss you all. I miss the damn Celtics so much. I'm sitting around twiddling my damn thumbs like, Lee, how much longer? But again, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Have an excellent conclusion to your day. Go Celtics.